Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for being here. In this opportunity, we're going to be speaking about the real estate market in Ecuador. Uh, the last few days, we have been talking with experts in different areas like tourism, politics, economics, business. So in this presentation, we're going to have experts on real estate. As you probably know, there are some people that they are here, they have been here several times, and we have some new people. The reason why we created this is because we felt like this was a good way on how to share information to the expat community. After what was happening with COVID-19, a lot of information on social media where not all the time is accurate. So our first roundtable was about the curfew hours, COVID-19, and some other regulations. So right now we have been doing this every Tuesday and every Thursday, and we want to share this time, as I said before, the real estate perspective. So we have in our panel, we have Garrett Parker from Ecuadorian Coastal Properties. Garrett has been living in Manta for, you can correct me later if I'm wrong, but more than 12 years. Garrett has a vast experience on real estate, so he will be speaking to us about his experience, his perspective here on the coast in general in Ecuador, because he also has some family in Guayaquil as well. Also, part of our panel, we have Ashley Rogers. It is great to have someone from Cuenca because, as you probably know, the Cuenca expat community is large here in Ecuador. And for the last few years, since 2011, Cuenca has been promoted like the expat destination of Ecuador. A lot of articles like Forbes or International Living are mentioning and talking about Cuenca. So Ashley will be giving us a great input of what is happening in Cuenca. Also, we have Samara Ibarra. Samara Ibarra is a realtor, which I have the opportunity, the great pleasure to work with her in a couple of transactions for one of our clients in Salinas. So she knows what she's doing on the real estate market, and that's the reason why we wanted to have her perspective as well. And also we have of our panelists, Tom Saunders. Tom Saunders, as you probably know him, he is a realtor and also a developer in the north area of Manabí. So he will be talking to us about what is happening in his area as well, and also the general information of Ecuador. It is very important to talk about, on the last 2 weeks, the New York Times has been talking about a lot about Ecuador. I don't want to say misinformation, but part of this, it is to explain to our expat community, and I see we have some people from that they're not from Ecuador, they're outside of Ecuador. So we want to tell them what is happening here. And last but no less important, we have Jason Henge, who has been helping us with this. Basically, he's donating his time to do this. Jason has been living several years in Ecuador. He has a vast experience of what the culture in Ecuador. Jason actually is living right now in Manabí. So I would like to start this presentation with Garrett. Garrett, please, if you can, please talk about us. Just the last final explanation for the new attendees in this presentation is that each panelists will have 15 minutes, and then we will have 5 minutes. And at the end, we will have another round for more questions. So the person who will be in charge of managing or coordinating the questions will be Jason. So you have a tab where it says chat, so you can write there the questions related to this presentation. Remember, this is real estate market and COVID-19. So please, Garrett, thank you.
Unmuted.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Loud and clear. I thought that was going to be better. Marcos, thank you so much for this. This is amazing. You said it's a good idea. This is a brilliant idea, especially during this. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and to get all of us together so we can all speak and kind of set a lot of things that are really happening, and like you said. So this is really, really great, and thank you for the platform. Hello, everybody. My name is Garrett Parker, owner of Ecuadorian Coastal Properties, co-owner. I have a partner, Sean Seaman. He's right now in Manta working hard. Our whole team is working very, very hard right now. I've lived in Manta, Ecuador for 12 years now. If you'd have told me that 12 years ago, I'd have said you're crazy. My father came down here in 2005. I was still in school, and my father came back and said, I'm moving to Manta, Ecuador, and I have this vision. And I went, wow, this sounds crazy. So I came down in 2008, and I saw exactly what he was talking about. You know, and keep in mind, way back then, we didn't have the Mall del Pacifico. We didn't have all the stuff that we have now in Manta, all the amenities, all the buildings. Manta has just exploded. And also, with all that, we got right to work. And we were the first ones to be on House Hunters International. And that really catapulted our company and also put Manta on the map. It showed the whole world what Manta was all about, how they use US dollar, how cheap it is, you know, all the above. So that really helped Manta boom. And then, so we kept working and we developed and we sold, and we have so many different clients. We have clients that come down that want to retire right away and find something. We have clients that want to retire in 5 years, that want to buy now at a cheaper time, rent it out for those 5 years and then retire. And then we have just your typical investors who want to rent or who want to buy and then rent it out, maybe buy it, flip it. So we're dealing with a lot of different buyers. And then really for us, and for I think a lot of us in this group and in Ecuador in general, we started to feel the impact on the economy 4 years ago when the earthquake hit. I won't get too much into the earthquake in my story, but I will say that once the earthquake happened, I remember that the night of, I was looking up at the sky and I thought to myself, wow, this might be over. We've done so much here, but there's so much that's happened. That was the first time I'd been in that situation, lost friends, friends that lost friends, and it just really hit the country hard. But I can tell you that what that earthquake did for myself and the company, it really prepared us for what's going on right now with the COVID-19. It's you know, it's not an earthquake, it's COVID, but at the same time, what happened back then was this. As I said, the night of the earthquake, I looked up and said, I think it's over. The next day, I had 20 people calling us on the phone saying, hey, what can I get at a good deal right now? And I went, oh my goodness. And then on the other side of that, I had people calling me saying, I have somebody affected that got hurt. I need money right now. Something that would sell for 250,000. They want 150,000. So you have a lot of fire sales that went on right after the earthquake, meaning really, really good deals. So the earthquake really prepared us for what's going on right now. And the scary thing about now is that there's so much uncertainty. We're getting so much new news every day. Marcos, as you touched on, there's stuff that went out in the New York Times. Who knows if it's true, if it's not true. I mean, I've asked all my political friends what's true and what's not true. I mean, we all have to also keep in perspective that every country's going through a ton right now, a lot of issues, not just Ecuador. Ecuador obviously hit the news, and it's very sad. But as I said, the earthquake really prepared us for this. So, you know, it's really important also to keep in mind that the government, once the COVID hit Ecuador, the government was shut down on the 17th of March. And what that basically means is the notaries were closed, everything was closed. So even though we had people calling us with all of this going on saying, hey, I know this is happening, what can I get at a good deal? there was no sales that were able to be made due to the notaries being closed. People that don't live here, you know, it's a totally different system than the USA, the real estate market. Everything goes through the notary for the most part. And I mean, really, the notary acts as everything, and a lawyer. Lawyers and notaries, those are very, very important when you're buying. And the notary offices have been closed, so we haven't been able to make any sales. Just this last few days, they've started to announce new plans they're putting in place, that they're going to be opening up notaries by appointments. So that's very, very positive for people out there that want to sell, and also people out there that want to buy. They are right now putting a plan together to go ahead and make sure that the notaries can operate and we can change the deeds and all those kinds of things, which is really important. And then also what's happening with our business right now, the rental market. The rental market is huge. So you had a lot of different things happening once this hit. You had a lot of people confused, you had people scared, didn't know what was happening, misinformation. So we had a lot of people down here house hunting, looking at that time. Some people stayed through it. They're saying, I'm not getting on a plane, I'm gonna stay here. And then we also had a lot of people who wanted to get on a plane and go ahead and get back home. And so we assisted a lot of people on getting back home, but the rental market, it just took off. I mean, anything that was open, it filled up. And so for the people out there that our clients that bought to strictly rent and make income, right now everything is rented that we have. So they're sitting in a really good position. So the rental market is very, very hot right now. People need rentals, and you're starting to see, for us, we're starting to get a lot of calls from different areas, coastal regions close to us, north of us, south of us, in the highlands, that in a lot of people's mind, they think that the coast might be safer. And, you know, and this is all theoretical, and, you know, there's a lot of hearsay to this and that, but we're getting a lot of calls from very close coastal towns saying, hey, we don't have medical facilities. We don't have all these things, and we need to come down to Manta because we don't have these here. And it's really important. And that's also why Manta is so important, because it has all those amenities. We have hospitals, we have grocery shopping, we have the port for import, for export. And it's really important to keep in mind too, you know, the industry right now that's driving Manta is the tuna industry. The tuna industry drives Manta, which brings me to one of my biggest points that I wanted to talk about as well, is the airport. They've been working on rebuilding the airport since the earthquake. And being here 12 years, every year I hear the same thing. They're gonna open the airport and make it international. And it's on groups, people talk about it, people argue about it. I've been here 12 years and I've heard it for 12 years. And I've talked to a lot of political friends of mine. And the biggest point that they've made to me, and it makes sense to me as well, in my opinion, we need to get that airport open internationally. But how do we do that? You know, the expats coming down here to retire, that's not a big enough reason to open an international airport in Manta. So for the people out there who don't know, there's two main airports here to get into the country. There's one in Quito and one in Guayaquil. And Quito and Guayaquil hold a lot of political power. So to all of a sudden just open up an airport international, I mean, you're gonna take away at least 30% away from Quito, from Guayaquil. Why would they want to do that? Which brings me to my next point. We need a reason. We need a new industry in Manta to open up that airport, especially in times like this. You know, we have a lot of people, not only in Manta, surrounding areas that are saying, hey, I'm taking the humanitarian flight. How do I get to Guayaquil? How do I navigate and do all that? And we've been having to do, you know, get clients to do all that. And give me one sec. I'm spraying out there. So they do a daily spray through the neighborhoods, and they're spraying right now. But a lot of people always say they're going to open up this international airport, and this is what I have to say about that: is we need a new industry. I know a few people who've really been trying to work on that. I watched Dario on the first show that you did. He's really been working hard on getting the contract for the school at Monte Cristi Golf. Those type of things, that's what we need, because right now Manta just doesn't have the reason to open up internationally and take away from those two. So I think a really good idea, especially right now with what's going on. We've been researching this and working on this for a while, but the #1 place in the world for medical tourism is Brazil. And then you have your Panama in there. Ecuador is nowhere to be found, but let's look at the facts. We're 3.5 hours away from Florida. We use US currency. Manta has an airport. Imagine if we could build a state-of-the-art, amazing medical facility in Manta. Now that's a new industry. That brings jobs, that opens up airports, that stops from all the people from Manabi having to go to Guayaquil. So a lot of people who talk about the airport, it's very important and it's very beneficial, because when you fly into Quito, you can take that flight. But I know there's been a lot of talk about the airport, so I wanted to touch on that. And really, you know, the real estate, the economy here, I guess the $1 million question everybody out there wants to probably ask is it the best time to buy right now? And, you know, yes, it's a very good time to buy. And let me go ahead and elaborate on that. Anytime you have a crisis in the world, the real estate market takes a hit. That's just the fact. Now, this is what I tell my clients. You know, if you can make it through this economic, because we will bounce back. History is showing. They're already starting to make plans, or, you know, and I have full faith that we're going to bounce back, and we're going to be ready for that once we're ready. I mean, once everything's in place, we'll be ready for that. But right now, it's really uncertain. The economy's just, you know, a lot of people are scared. But I tell my clients, if you can make it through right now, if you don't need the money, wait. Because like the earthquake happened, I had people calling me saying, hey, fire sale my place. And we had a few fire sales. And the ones that made it through, 2 years later, Manta was totally rebuilt. The infrastructure, new malls, new everything, and the value went up. So right now, you know, big question, is it a good time to buy? Absolutely. You're going to see prices going down right now. I think we have a list at about 12 condos, fire sales that need money. And these are people calling me saying, hey, my family member might have passed away. We need X amount of money. Please sell my condo. I mean, all the above we're dealing with. But at the same time, it's, yes, it is a very good time. You're going to see a lot of good deals all over the world. But a lot of people are also, as myself, as I'm sure all of you and people listening, we're all thinking about what's that next move? What's that next step we're going to take in our life? This has given us time to think about what we all want to really do. Ecuador's home for me. I'm always going to live here. My wife's from here. My 2 kids were born here in Ecuador. So I'll always be in Ecuador. And if you've been looking out there, if you've been looking for the last couple of years to purchase a place, start looking now, keep on it, because you're going to start seeing prices drop. And the reality of all this is, after this, if there's going to be an after, you know, some people are going to leave. That's just what's going to happen. Some people are going to leave, but the opportunists out there that are looking for very good deals, this is when you're going to find them. Because once this all blows over one day, and I know there's going to be a lot of change, the prices will go back up. So if you've ever thought about coming down to Ecuador and buying a place, right now I would say would be one of the best times that I've ever seen the prices. And I guess what I'll end on is, the most uncertain right now is I'm dealing with a lot of different clients that are calling and they're saying, hey, I want to buy a place. Can I buy it now? Can I send you the money? As I said, the notaries have been closed, so we can't do a transfer of deeds. Now they're opening back up, so we can do a lot of that. But then there is another percentage of clients that are saying, hey, I want to buy this place, but I'm looking for the first plane ticket that I can get down to Ecuador. And that's a question right now that I can't answer to everybody. They have humanitarian flights going out for USA citizens, and they have flights coming in for Ecuadorian citizens, or if you have your visa or whatnot. So for those clients, it's tough, and we're just gonna have to wait until they announce and they make sure that the airways are okay to fly, and we'll get them down here. But until then, if you've been down here, if you've been looking, you know, I strongly urge you to get in touch. We can walk you through the whole thing. Our company, we hold your hand through the, you know, Ecuador, it's not the USA, and I can't say that enough. You know, when you fly into Manta, We pick you up at the airport. We drop you off at your rental. We make sure to show you everything, not just real estate. It's not, hey, let's go, because if I just did that, if we just did that, you wouldn't know where to go shop. You wouldn't know where to go to the beaches. You wouldn't know. There's so many things. And the language barrier is very hard for a lot of people. So, I mean, I'm still answering calls from clients 8 years ago who don't know how to call and fix their air conditions. And we're still helping them do that. That's what we do. We never leave our clients behind. Once a client with us, you're always with us. And even if you're not a client, I had people call and say, hey, I've heard your name. I'm stuck here. I'm trying to get to Guayaquil. How do I do it? We're on it. So anything you guys need, anybody out there, do not hesitate to get in touch with us.
Yeah, Garrett, thank you. I don't know if Jason has any questions from the audience, because actually I have a question for you. In terms of biosecurity, do you think Ecuador is ready to have some, because there are some owners that they own real estate here in Manta, in this area. They sometimes they have Airbnb, short term, so probably some regulations from some buildings, they will not be allowing people to come for short term period. And I think that will be affecting, probably will be helping the hotel industry. But for some people, they have invested here in Ecuador for short-term rentals. How do you see that in terms of biosecurity from your company? Do you have any measures that are you planning to take up?
Yes, right now, I mean, we have clients that were supposed to leave in a week, and they can't leave in a week. There's no flight for them for that week. So that was about a month rental. So they're going to go ahead and extend. And then for the buyers, the people that own it, I mean, the goal is to make sure it's rented always. So they're not mad that they're going to have to stay an extra month. Now, like I was saying earlier, we have a list of people looking for rentals right now. People from the highlands, also, like I said, nearby areas that are looking for short-term rentals, long-term rentals. Right now, we're in a situation to where I think we're going to see a lot more long-term rentals. Maybe you'll see some people that, you know, hey, I'm in this area, but I want to come up there for a week. And you're exactly right. Each building has different rules. Our building that I live in, our pool's open, but I know a few other buildings that the pools are closed. So each building has different rules, but we have a list of people standing by waiting for rentals right now. So rental markets is very high, and our owners are very happy because their place is rented. At the same time, are they happy because there's a crisis and it's rented? No, of course not. None of us are. But yeah, rentals now are going strong.
Okay, Jason, thank you, Garrett. Jason, I think you have a question for Garrett, and then we will can continue with our next presenter.
Yes, Garrett, how you doing? Really quickly, you spoke about the strength of the rental market in Manta, and one of the attendees has rental properties in Bahia. Could you briefly explain why Manta is a stronger rental market than Bahia, for example?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I'd like to say I love Bahia. I've been here for 12 years. My first 2 to 3 years, I spent a lot of time in Bahia and Canoa, and a big piece of my heart is up there. Yeah, it's, for me, the earthquake did a lot of damage up there, so that's when they also started to feel a lot of the effect. After 4 years ago when that earthquake happened, you saw a lot of people from Bahia move to Manta, to Guayaquil, all over. But as far as for rental, yeah, Manta, it's a city. It's the biggest city on the coast. We have 300,000 people here. We have malls, we have all the amenities. So as far as comparing one to another, it's hard. I mean, Manta has everything. It has everything that you need. It has medical facilities. You know, God forbid anything happens, you need to go to a doctor. We have tons of medical facilities. We just have all the amenities, and I think that's kind of what sets Manta apart from anywhere else on the coast is the amenities.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I agree with that. But what if we just will let Samara Ibarra, please, Samara, if you can, from your experience, I know we can speak about this for hours. It is right now, Ecuador is fascinating to see what ideas we can provide to everyone to make this country a better place to come and invest or just simply living here. So Samara, could you please help us with your presentation? Just want to make a clarification here. Samara is going to be speaking Spanish and Jason is going to be making the translation. So please, let's be a little bit patient with this part of the presentation. Okay, Samara, puede continuar.
Hola, hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Gracias por la invitación. Muy honrada de estar con todos ustedes.
Thank you very much for, good afternoon. Thank you very much for being with everyone, and I'm very honored to be here.
Tal como lo dijeron inicialmente, pues tengo el honor de trabajar con con la mejor franquicia a nivel mundial, la número 1 en el mundo, como es REMAX, y pues en base a esto, pues tengo unos datos muy interesantes que les puede servir a todos nuestros oyentes.
I have the honor of working with an esteemed international real estate company, which is REMAX here in Ecuador. And with our experience, I have some wonderful information that I will share with the group.
Next page, please. Bueno, sabemos que ahora estamos todos paralizados por este virus y que nos tiene pues al mundo en pausa. Sin embargo, pues creo que muchos estamos muy activos trabajando desde casa.
Okay, like everyone throughout the world knows, we're kind of at the mercy of COVID currently, but notwithstanding, people are working from home and continuing to develop new ideas.
Ahora el mercado está tenso en todos los productos, sea pues automotriz, inmobiliario, etcétera. Pero les tengo una buena noticia. En todas las crisis del mundo, la industria inmobiliaria es la que más rápido se ha levantado.
So like many industries throughout the world, the automotive industry, the real estate industry as well, happens to be frozen at the moment. But one interesting piece of information is that after different crises that have been throughout the world, the real estate industry is one that reacts and reactivates the fastest.
En una encuesta que se realizó aquí con una empresa muy seria ecuatoriana, que se llama Focus, está radicada en Quito, esta empresa, tomó una muestra online.
Okay, there was a survey conducted by a group out of Quito called Focus. It was an online survey.
Y preguntó a las personas, una de las tantas preguntas que hizo fue, ¿qué comprarán al terminar esta cuarentena? Y sorprendentemente esto dijeron.
Pardon. One of several of the questions that was asked was, what would be one of the first things you buy when the quarantine is over?
Next page, please. Fíjense ustedes, lo primero que comprarían las personas cuando finalice la cuarentena será en un 29% seguros de salud. Y en segundo lugar, con un 19.40% vivienda propia.
Okay, so based on the 300 and some odd individuals that were surveyed, 29% of them said the first thing they would buy after the COVID crisis, after the quarantine was lifted, would be a healthcare plan. And 19.4% of them said that they would invest in a home.
Luego de eso, pues por obvias razones, la gente estaba haciendo ahora home office y está pretendiendo comprar más internet en casa.
Okay, so 15.8%, which effectively is in the third most important thing that these folks would want to buy post-quarantine, would be improving the bandwidth or contracting an internet service from home.
Y pues seguido del seguro de vida, como es obvio, por lamentablemente muchos fallecimientos, plan de celular, moto, y sorprendentemente también la gente piensa comprar terreno, en un 8.5% de las personas encuestadas.
Okay, so some of the other interesting responses were a vehicle, life insurance, cellular phone plans, and a lot of land to potentially build on in the future.
Entonces estamos en un buen camino las personas, a los realtors que estamos aquí porque tenemos negocio, la gente piensa comprar casas propias.
So it's good news for the real estate community throughout Ecuador because a lot of what is on people's minds post quarantine is investing in real estate, whether it's a home or a piece of property to build on later.
Next, please. Hemos tenido muchos webinarios dentro de la marca REMAX y uno que tuvimos la semana anterior, una empresa muy seria como Ecuaassist también nos dio unas sorprendentes encuestas.
Okay, so we have another survey here by an organization called Market Watch.
Next, please. Y fíjense ustedes que hay una proyección inmobiliaria de aquí, cuando termine la cuarentena, a 24 meses. Esto nos dijeron.
Okay, so essentially it's a projection, a 2-year projection when the quarantine will end and 2 years after as to what type of things we can expect to see in the real estate market.
Hay una proyección estimada de aquí a 24 meses que las casas nuevas o departamentos nuevos que se van a construir o se terminaron de construir tendrán un descuento de un 15 o un 25%.
Okay, one interesting piece of information is that in a time frame of 24 months after the quarantine has been lifted, there will be a projected discount in new houses and new apartments of 15 to 25% in the total value of the purchase.
Y fíjense ustedes, las casas y departamentos que ya están construidas, digamos que están usadas, van a tener una proyección, un descuento de aquí a 24 meses de un 20 hasta un 35%.
Okay, also very interesting. Pre-existing houses or apartments that will go onto market would have a potential 20 to 35% discount in the purchase price.
Asimismo, habrán descuentos con productos corporativos como oficinas nuevas entre un 20 a un 30% de descuento.
Okay, and the trend seems to, can somebody mute their mic that's not talking? I think it's Marcos or Garrett, please. The trend continues for offices where there's going to be a 20 to 35% decrease in price as well.
Con oficinas también construidas también va a haber un descuento proyectado más o menos de un 25 a un 35%.
Yep, same story with office properties, new and used, 20 to 30% of a discount projected.
Con esa misma tendencia también tenemos los locales comerciales.
The trend continues for commercial properties.
Y fíjense ustedes que los terrenos son los que menos van a sufrir cambios de precios.
And at the end of the chart, it seems that lots, properties without any construction are going to remain relatively the same with a 10 to 20% discount.
Next, please. Entonces, como conclusiones tenemos una clara tendencia de que los precios, que el mercado inmobiliario va con tendencia a la baja.
Okay, so in conclusion, what you can see from the charts and the focus groups and surveys that we have presented, there is going to be a price reduction in the real estate market moving forward.
Habrá un mercado que será netamente de compradores e inversionistas.
Effectively, it will be a buyer's market and an investor's market.
Habrá, por ende, mucha oferta y poca demanda.
Lots of supply, excuse me, lots of offer and lots of supply.
A
And
corto
little supply,
plazo,
excuse me.
okay. A corto plazo venderá más el que esté dispuesto a sacrificar porcentualmente su ganancia.
So in the short term, those that would be willing to sacrifice a percentage of their profit will be willing to move their properties or able to move their properties.
A mediano plazo, el sector se normalizará.
And kind of middle ground post-COVID, we feel that the real estate sector will normalize.
A largo plazo, los que aprovecharon las oportunidades y vencieron el miedo obtendrán ganancias.
And in the long term, those that took advantage of the opportunities and threw caution to the wind will be the ones that profit the most.
Y las nuevas tendencias de construcciones de casas van a ser ecoamigables y van a ser muy funcionales. Recuerden que la gente hará mucho home office en sus hogares.
And also with new constructions, you'll see a lot of kind of new building philosophies incorporating home offices and using environmentally friendly materials in the construction.
Next, please. Recuerden que las personas que están viéndonos y tienen un mercado con tendencia a la baja, un momento oportuno para hacer sus inversiones, siempre aseguren su inversión con personas que estén realmente calificadas y certificadas en el negocio.
And so, yeah, with all this information, just a public service announcement to ensure your inversions with qualified and professional people.
Hoy hay que respetar muchos protocolos de seguridad sanitaria para cuidar la vida de nuestros clientes.
So currently we have to respect a lot of sanitary protocols to ensure the health and well-being of our clients.
Y algo muy importante, que al comprar una propiedad, las personas tienen, por favor, que blindarse ante una posible situación de lavado de activos.
So when you go to buy a property, it's also important to make sure you're covered and you're able to report where the funds are coming from, because Ecuador is very interested in money laundering activities, so you'll have to provide proof where the funds are coming from to purchase your property.
Aquí en Ecuador, hace algunos años, se hizo una institución que se llama la UAFE.
So a few years back here in Ecuador, there was an institution that was created called UAFE.
Ella regula todos los movimientos inmobiliarios, transaccionales e inversiones que se hacen dentro del Ecuador.
UAFE essentially is a regulatory group that monitors real estate transactions in Ecuador.
Las personas que están en este negocio ilícito de lavado de activos ya no solamente lavan dinero con propiedades grandes, con inversiones grandes, sino también con arriendos desde $1,000. Hay que tener mucho cuidado con eso.
So those that are involved in money laundering activities are fairly prevalent in the real estate market, not only with large constructions, but also renting apartments for as little as $1,000 a month.
Así es. Por eso es muy importante que cuando ustedes hagan una inversión estén acompañados por un realtor que esté certificado, que esté muy bien preparado y que los blinde de todas las situaciones adversas que pueden encontrarse en el camino.
So again, that's why Samara is recommending that when you go to buy a property, you are accompanied by a certified realtor to avoid situations like the ones we're speaking about.
Tengo el honor de pertenecer a la Asociación de Corredores de Bienes Raíces de aquí del Guayas. También pues tengo el honor de pertenecer al nuevo directorio como tercera vocal principal, recién instaurado hace 2 meses.
So Samara is part of the Realtors Association of Guayas, and she is the 3rd spokeswoman of the Realtors Association of Guayas.
Next, please. Y pues recordarles una vez más que soy una realtor franquiciada con REMAX, que es una marca, es una franquicia que es la número 1 a nivel mundial. Ya somos más de 130,000 asociados y estamos en más de 100 países.
So as you guys can see by the slide, Samara is part of the REMAX group. There are 32 offices throughout the nation and some 700 agents globally.
Aquí en Ecuador ya somos más de 700 agentes inmobiliarios. Ya tenemos 32 oficinas a nivel nacional.
700 agents nationally, 700 agents here in Ecuador and 32 offices in Ecuador.
Estamos en ciudades muy importantes y las principales como Guayaquil, Quito, Cuenca, Machala, Manta, Santo Domingo, Quevedo y Riobamba.
So they're located in important cities. They have offices in Guayaquil, Quito, San Borondón, Cuenca, Machala, Manta, Santo Domingo, Quevedo, o Riobamba.
Tenemos un promedio de transacciones mensuales en todo el país de 490 actividades transaccionales.
So throughout the nation, there's an average of 490 transactions monthly done by the REMAX group in Ecuador.
Y el promedio de nuestras ventas, transacciones, fluctúa por los $125,000 promedio.
With an average price per property of $125,000.
¿Por qué les he dicho todo esto de que pertenezco al BIR, porque trabajo en REMAX? Porque tengo 2 networks muy grandes con los cuales yo puedo trabajar y trabajo para darle una rapidez y un mayor éxito a las transacciones que me dan mis clientes y permito ayudarlos de manera más rápida y más eficiente.
So within the network, they're able to move effectively throughout the country and provide a wide range of services to their clients through the network that REMAX has in Ecuador.
Next, please. Bueno, muchas gracias. Aquí les dejo mis datos, mis cuentas en Instagram, en Facebook, mi número celular con WhatsApp, y tengo entendido que el doctor Chiluisa también nos va a dejar los links de todos los datos de todos los panelistas. Muchas gracias, estoy a las órdenes.
Thank you very much. Below is Samara's contact information, and again, thank you for letting me be a part of today's panel.
Okay, Jason, I have a question here. You probably can translate this. Samara, my question is, you mentioned something about security about biosecurity, because this is the hot topic right now, because a lot of our people watching us, they own property here in Ecuador. And some of them, they go through realtors, or sometimes they do by themselves. But do you have any recommendation for the people attending to this event about what are the suggestions that you as REMAX company you have like those protocols? So Jason, you can summarize that question. Thank you.
Ok, Samara, la pregunta es en sí, si usted como REMAX tiene alguna sugerencia sobre bioseguridad en el campo, en el ámbito de bienes y raíces en cuanto a visitas a propiedades, exhibiciones de propiedades durante la crisis y post-COVID también.
Correcto, sí. Lo que les decía es que tenemos que ser ahora más prolijos y más cuidadosos con la vida de nuestros clientes, y nosotros en REMAX tenemos ya un protocolo de bioseguridad para nuestros clientes, que ya les digo de qué se trata.
Okay, so Samara's answer is essentially that REMAX has already begun to establish a biosecurity protocol, which we will explain moving forward.
Primero, vamos a filtrar a las personas interesadas en ir a conocer una propiedad, que realmente estén calificadas y que nos demuestren que tienen ya un crédito preaprobado, ¿verdad? Y que realmente estén dentro del sistema bancario, que estén con las posibilidades de hacer una compra.
All right, so they're going to work with a filter system, filtering potential clients, whether they pre-qualified with the banks to be able to apply for a home loan before they'll be able to pass on to the next phase, which is physically going and visiting a property with a realtor.
Inicialmente, a las personas interesadas en comprar una propiedad, se les va a dar toda la información digital, fotos, videos. Nosotros estamos preparándonos para hacer mucho trabajo digital antes de llevarlos a conocer una propiedad.
They're also going to initiate multimedia packets for the available properties and send them to potential clients, thus mitigating the actual exposure and physical visits to each property.
Y antes de llevarlos, le pasamos al posible cliente que nos llene un cuestionario, una encuesta, donde le hacemos preguntas directas y certeras sobre su estado de salud de él y de su familia, de tal forma de que no haya un contagio.
And lastly, before visiting an actual property with a realtor, each potential client will have to fill out a survey, a health survey about themselves and their family, transparently, to be able to assess whether or not they're healthy enough to visit a property with a realtor.
Y una vez estando ya en la propiedad, ¿verdad? Deben de ir pues, con mascarillas, las que recomienda el gobierno, con los guantes que se recomiendan y con zapatos cerrados, con las mujeres con el cabello recogido, de tal forma de que sea menos la probabilidad de un contagio.
And also, once visiting the property, potential clients will have to adhere to all of the government mandated biosecurity measures, gloves, mask, closed-toed shoes, women tying their hair back, to limit exposure and limit potential contagious situations while visiting properties.
Máximo deben de ir a las visitas 2 personas, cónyuges, no personas de la tercera edad, ¿correcto? No niños, son disposiciones del gobierno.
And there'll be a maximum of 2 people able to visit a property for sale. No one of over 65 years old and no children.
Debe haber también un distanciamiento mínimo de 1,5 metros, 2 metros.
And of course, the minimum distance of 1.5 to 2 meters between individuals.
Cada persona debe ir en su vehículo. Antes uno llevaba a las personas interesadas en una casa, pero ahora cada uno en su vehículo.
And during the real estate visits, each interested party will have to go in their own vehicle.
Y una vez que haya una formal aceptación, negociación, pues nosotros como realtors nos encargamos de hacer todo el ingreso de documentación a las notarías en forma digital inicialmente hasta que sea el momento de la firma.
And if and when there's an offer that has been placed, the realtors for REMAX will be in charge of sending a digital offer and digital paperwork to the notary to start the transfer of title process.
Ya se están abriendo aquí desde hoy, desde ayer lunes, empezaron a atender ciertas notarías por turnos acá en Guayaquil. Los municipios también ya están trabajando en forma online.
Okay, so in Guayaquil, as of today, several notaries have started to open up and are working on a kind of schedule where they take turns opening up and several municipal functions have also begun to work in Guayaquil as well.
Ok, no sé si ya con eso respondí la pregunta.
Yo creo que sí.
Gracias.
Está muy bien.
Gracias. What if we continue with our next panelist, Ashley Rogers? We're having some problems with her camera. So, Romina, you can hear me on the backstage of this presentation. Can you put a, yeah. So, Ashley, please, if you can speak to us. So for now, we're going to have your picture of the presentation for this event. So Ashley, can you please explain us what is your perspective about the real estate market during COVID-19 and post COVID-19? Well, we just for everyone to know, we rehearsed this morning and it was working. It was working perfect. But let me see what's happening. Okay, what if we continue? I can see here Tom Saunders. Tom, are you able to turn on your microphone so we can give Ashley some minutes for her to get ready? And I've been advised, I've been told, Ashley, that you're self-mute. So if any of you guys can just turn on your microphone.
My microphone works.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank
Yay. Okay. All right. Well, you can't see me, but you can hear me. So that's the most important thing. And I want to I'll start again. I want to thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I'm really excited to be able to talk a little bit about Cuenca, which is my hometown. And when you had asked me to talk about real estate during COVID-19, I'm thinking, gosh, what do we talk about? There's not much going on, because real estate really, like most of the industries in the world right now, has sort of stopped. Although I get a lot of inquiries, and I think that's because a lot of people are bored and looking online and dreaming about possibilities of owning a home and maybe thinking about moving abroad. So I am getting inquiries, but in Cuenca, things have been very slow. It's just now starting to pick up a little bit. But I really wanted to talk to people a little bit about Cuenca in case they don't know what Cuenca, much about Cuenca. Cuenca is the third largest city in Ecuador. It's the cultural capital of Ecuador, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site city, and it's beautiful. It has beautiful architecture and cobblestone streets, lots of museums and art galleries, and it's been consistently rated by publications like International Living and Live and Invest Overseas as one of the top 10 expat and retiree destinations. So real estate has been, quite a popular thing here in Cuenca. So, lots of people are wondering what's going to be happening, both buyers and sellers. I came to Cuenca 10 years ago. I bought a pre-construction property at the time in the historic downtown center of Cuenca. And at the time, the developer had not developed anything but his own home. So I was kind of taking a risk as an expat. But as it turned out, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And I'm actually going to be buying another condo from him that is in the pre-construction phase. So I really do believe in Cuenca, and I believe in real estate, and I believe in Ecuador. So I was trying to think about some of the pros that are reasons that people would still want to buy real estate, and also a few of the cons. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the trends that I'm seeing, both from the perspectives of my clients, but also from the perspective of research and things that I've been working on, just trying to figure out what's going to be next. So I think that the pros for Ecuador and for certainly for Cuenca are much like they are in a lot of developing countries. There's a lower cost of living, and Ecuador is really good at affordable living. And Cuenca is a city that has so much to offer. It has symphonies, a jazz society, you know, every ethnic food you could ever imagine. And so, you know, it still has something that people would want to do and want to move to. It has affordable health care. There are more than 20 medical facilities in the Cuenca area. And whether or not you are a citizen, you can apply for the Social Security system here, which is called IESS. I pay $72 a month for that. And for that, you can get unlimited, free, basically, health care. I had a friend who had stage 4 cancer and went through the system of IESS with everything you can imagine. And thankfully, she's healthy and in remission right now, but she never paid 1 cent for anything in terms of health care. And I think, you know, certainly after COVID-19, we are all looking at what do we do if we get sick? And I think probably different people will have different experiences, but I can only go on what I know. And I have that experience of my friend. I had some very serious surgical problems in last year, and I would not have wanted to be anywhere but in Ecuador. The surgeon I had, he spoke English, he was extraordinary, and I feel very grateful that I was here. I could WhatsApp him, and so, you know, as we move forward after this global healthcare scare, that's a real reason that you might want to move to some place like Ecuador. Ecuador also has the US dollar, and that, as we move ahead, is, you know, questionable, but I think that the US dollar will always be something that we can count on. And for people moving from North America, that it is an easier transition. And also, a lot of people in Cuenca speak English. 10 years ago, that wasn't the case, but it is now. There's a lot of infrastructure that was done in the last 10 years in the Cuenca area. There's parks, there's pedestrian malls, there is there's a tranvia that's supposed to be coming, a tram, and we hope that that will come. But there's a lot of infrastructure, and so you're not going to a place where you're going to be stuck. A temperate climate, a healthy lifestyle, there's sort of a small town feel. And as far as real estate, you can buy real estate and you become a resident once you buy real estate. And that's a big deal because in a lot of countries, you're not a resident and you are in Ecuador. And as in real estate, you can also buy real estate without even being in Ecuador, which I'm actually seeing right now. Some people are buying or talking about buying sight unseen and doing all of the paperwork virtually through, you know, through mail, giving an attorney the power of attorney that's limited just for real estate. But people are, you know they can't come, they know they can't see. I have pictures on my website, and they're, you know, serious investors are taking serious steps to get in on the ground level before kind of ahead of the curve before everything opens up again after the pandemic. So it's been interesting times. Cuenca, like Ecuador, has been really shut down since March 15th. There have been, we have to wear masks on the street. When you go to a grocery store, you're only really allowed to go to the grocery store, the bank, and the pharmacy and medical kinds of things. When you go into the grocery store, you're sprayed head to toe. You have to wear gloves. So I think that the local government is taking, you know, it quite seriously, which I'm happy to report. And there has not been a huge number of reports of COVID-19 in Cuenca. We don't know because the testing hasn't been widespread, but there doesn't seem to be the epidemic that there was, unfortunately, in Guayaquil. I think as real estate agents, one of the things we're going to have to overcome was the PR sort of nightmare because of Guayaquil and some of the sensationalist journalism that came out of that. I think there was a real problem in Guayaquil, and it was a tragedy, but I think the press overstepped some of the reports and left images that people will take with them. And we want to, let people know in the real estate market that that was one isolated area of Ecuador, and the rest of the country is doing pretty well considering what's going on. So I also wanted to talk about some trends that I think I'm seeing because of this. In spite of the pandemic, investors are still, as I said, getting in touch with me and asking about properties. I think we will see a bit of luxury projects going, kind of shattering their prices a little bit and slowing down. I have one of probably the best, most desirable commercial properties on the river here in Cuenca, and before COVID-19, it was listed at $850,000, and yesterday she said she would take $425,000. So it's a big jump, and there are people that are going to be nervous and selling off properties and giving buyers a really great opportunity to buy. I think also that we're going to see a new emergence of people wanting to buy rural properties. Cuenca is in a kind of enviable position in that it's a big city, but within 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and a half, you have real rural properties where you can grow your own food. You have mangoes and pineapples and coffee plantations and coconuts and pretty much avocados, anything that you want. And with people being at home, I think a lot of people are thinking, wow, I wish I could have grown my own food or had a sustainable lifestyle. So I think we're going to see that trend in real estate coming up, with more people wanting rural properties. And similarly, I think that we are going to see more single family homes being available and on the market and being sort of interesting to foreign buyers because there's a little plot of land, there's a little air, there's fresh spots that they can go out. They're not stuck in a high rise. So I think that might be a real estate trend. I think new homes, as Samara was talking about, are going to have different configurations. People are going to be telecommuting more, and so home offices are going to be a consideration. And I think home gyms. I have a few properties that have their own private gyms, and I think that's something that people are going to think about. They're going to think about living space and maybe having a little more privacy and spaces designated for one or two different kinds of things if they don't have a dedicated office. So I think developers are going to be looking at new ways to configure properties. And I also think the rental market, although I don't do rentals, I only do real estate sales. I think that things like Airbnb are going to take a hit. And because of that, people who have rental properties are going to be looking at more long-term rentals. And I think a lot of investors that I've talked to are looking even now for properties that were Airbnb properties, but that they could turn into long-term rentals. And so I think that might be a final, trend that I've been observing. And that's about it. I am the founder of Ecuador at your service in Cuenca, and if anybody would be interested in looking at property here, I'm happy to help. Hello?
Yes, Ashley, that was very very clear. Yeah, I appreciate it. Actually, I don't know, Jason, if you have any questions.
Yes, I do have a question for Ashley specifically. So one of the attendees, Ashley, is asking, you mentioned being able to obtain Ecuadorian residency after the purchase of a property, and this person is asking if you could explain that a little further, because she had purchased a property 2 years ago and is still considered a tourist. So if you have anything else you could, any more light you could shed on that situation, that'd be great. If not, I can chime in as well, but I'll turn it over to you first. Are you with us, Ashley?
Yes, she's trying to turn on her microphone right now.
Okay. Marcos, do you wanna tackle this? You want me to chime in?
Yeah, well, basically the minimum investment, it is $40,000 on real estate, and then you can obtain a residency visa. First, you will go for the temporary residency visa, and after 2 years, you can go for after 21 months, you can go for the permanent. After you get the permanent residency visa, you can basically sell your property because it is a different legal status that you are under permanent residency visa. So that's basically in few words answering that question. But Ashley, I think she's back online, so maybe she has some input on that. Okay, well, it seems like we're having some issues. So I would like to continue with Tom Saunders. He's waiting here. So Tom, can you please turn on your microphone? I don't think it's ready. Yes, it is. You just turn it on. Yeah, it is again.
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello, hello. Hello? Okay. So,
yes, Tom, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay,
Clear.
great. Wanted to make sure. All right. Well, thank you, Marco, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who's listening, and Ashley and Samara and Garrett. It's good to hear everybody's perspective, because really what's going on right now is we've had some massive change. We've had it in Ecuador before, in that, you know, we've had an earthquake in the past, and you feel how that changes everything on multiple levels. And really, it takes a while to come to terms with what is the new reality going to be? What's it going to look like? What's it going to be limited by? How is it going to move, and how is that going to affect us in the future? And so, you know, I think we're all here right now trying to grasp that. You know, in my situation, just to kind of give a little background, I'm Tom Saunders. I founded Ecuador Beachfront Property, and my wife and I own and operate it. I'm a licensed real estate broker in Ecuador, and we've built, a whole bunch of custom homes, and we've also built a number of condo units on the beach. And so we've had a lot of experience. We've been in Ecuador for, 14 years now. And we got taken by surprise by the COVID-19. We came to the US for my mom's 80th birthday in the beginning of March, and we were supposed to return at the end of March, which didn't happen. And so I'm actually talking to you from Texas right now. We have a rental here while we're kind of waiting out to be able to come back and access it. Luckily, we have a really good staff on the ground there that's managing everything while we're away. But yeah, it's a wild new world. It's a brave new world in a lot of ways. And so, you know, one of the biggest questions is kind of when is the market gonna, when are we gonna know what's going on? When are we gonna start to see the market trend in one direction or another? Because right now everything's kind of at a standstill. You know, as the other realtors shared, you know, right now I'm still receiving inquiries. We still have sales that are pending. We have offers that are made that are waiting for notaries to open. There's still a lot in standby, but I think everybody's also a little bit gun shy right now because they don't know which direction it's going to go. And so I think that's why a lot of people came on today. And so, you know, I just wanted to share some speculation related to that, because nobody really knows what's going to happen. We all kind of have the feeling that there is going to be more supply than demand. But actually, I think brought up an interesting point in that, you know, supply and demand will change based on where it's geographically located. And so I think everybody in the real estate industry, and of course, this isn't just Ecuador, this is worldwide at this point. What are the new trends going to be? And some of the big overlying factors, just to kind of put into your minds to think about for a while, are how are things going to change? Like our new reality, at least the new reality I've been experiencing here, is that, you know, everything is online. There are more services where the city comes to you now. There's home deliveries. There's more and more services that are available than ever before. We're going to start, homeschooling using technology. Our kids go to a school in Bahia, and we're there organizing a homeschooling program, and that's kicking off now. And so a lot of those things are starting to happen. And so it'll be interesting to see how geographically supply and demand change over time. We have a number of rentals that we manage in a property that we developed, and everybody that's there seems to like being there. There's a few personal interactions that are always hard, whenever you have a stressful situation around a lot of people, but everybody likes being in a natural place with fresh air, a place where they can breathe and be able to enjoy it even in times that are challenging. So, I think a lot of the real estate market in terms of when it will pick up in Ecuador is going to be based on when travel opens up. I'm confident that it'll open up. I think that as a global society, we have to in the COVID era. So there has to become a protocol needs to be established, is being established, so that people can still travel safely. And I think that that's the major limiting factor. I think that that's the major limiting factor for the market moving in Ecuador. If we get travel figured out, I think that that's the biggest crisis. As long as you can overcome getting from point A to point B and being confident about that process, I think that that's the biggest challenge to overcome for the market opening back up in Ecuador. I think that property prices in general will go down because there's a scare and there's change. Wherever there's change and people's financial situation changes, their living situation, their family situation, there's going to be change. There's going to be people who need to sell, and there's going to be people looking to buy. We were in Ecuador in 2006, 7, 8, 9, when there was a big economic crisis in the US. And that was kind of when we, by happenstance, started our business, because we bought and sold a few investment lots. And everybody kept calling us saying, hey, you have those lots. Do you have any houses or condos or what else do you have there? Because people were looking for an economical place. So they were looking for a high quality of life and a low cost of living. I mean, that's the driving factor to get people to Ecuador. It's high quality of life, low cost of living. And that gradient, that still exists. You can still have a very high quality of life and a low cost of living in Ecuador. And so I believe that as time goes by, that demand will still be there. And I mean, for better or for worse, I think the fact of the matter is that there is going to be an economic crisis. And I think that will increase demand for certain types of properties in Ecuador. It probably won't be for the higher end homes, because the people with lots of money have the money to stay in their nice homes in the States and not risk it. Whereas folks that are looking for more value and they still want to maintain that quality of life, they want a little bit of an adventure. They want to learn a new language and be open to a new culture and all of that. There's that group is still going to be looking for a property and a new place to live on the coast of Ecuador, in my opinion. So I think that for right now, when I talk to clients, I give similar advice to what I've heard so far on this, which is hold on, don't fire sale it unless you need to, and let's see where it goes, because really there's a lot of potential for properties in certain areas that were already low. Canoa and a lot of the area I work, which is north of Manta, we kind of like the properties that are for folks that say, I like being close to the city, but not too close. And so there's definitely the city folks, and I get that, and I have my days, and there's definitely the folks that say, hey, I want to be within 45 minutes of a city or 2 cities or 3 cities, but I don't want to be in any of them or too close to any of them, because I want, that private beach to walk on, that kind of small town feel. And so I think that I honestly believe that demand in those areas will continue. I don't think we're going to see a major spike or anything like that, but I think that it will continue. And the value is there. Without a doubt, the value in these towns is there, and value at the end of the day drives decisions. And as long as those decisions aren't impeded by by travel restrictions, then I think that the demand will continue. And so, if you're listening and you're from the local area and you're thinking about selling now before the market drops more or something, I would think that honestly, holding on to it for a little while would be your best bet. I have contacts that are happening now within, yesterday, today, and the day before. We have people that are at home on the internet thinking about where they're going to live in the future and processing COVID just like we all are. And Ecuador is still on their map. And so I wouldn't erase it. I wouldn't, bail out or run away just yet. The biggest concern, the elephant in the room for me is the medical services, the volume of medical services available, not necessarily the quality, but the volume. And that's the biggest thing in Ecuador. And so I think taking that into account, there's two ways to deal with that. One is to stay in the U.S. or in places where there are massive numbers of hospital beds available, or two, have a very strict protocol so that you don't contract it, and know what your options are for medical services where you're going, and definitely don't go in the middle of a peak. Like right now we're peaking out and things are opening up. It's probably not the best time to get on a plane. I wouldn't recommend somebody get on a plane right now until things are sorted out and we really feel like we've got a handle on the travel situation. So I think that there's going to be, one of the questions that Marcos asked was, related to biosecurity and how we handle it all. I think that the real estate industry is going to be following the clear protocols of, social distancing, or having a standard where if you are working with an expat, like we primarily work with the expat market, we work with local Ecuadorians as well, but our market is 95% expats. And so, we would have to have a specific protocol, or we are developing that right now in terms of having masks available on site that are the government recommended masks for people that are arriving, and making a commitment that's clearly communicated to our clients beforehand that we've taken the precautions to sanitize vehicles, sanitize the property we're going to be looking at, and make sure that we've taken every precaution that we can to make sure that we're not part of the vector of spreading COVID any further than it already has been. And so, but really before that, and as is normally the case in working with expats, most of our interaction and a lot of the process of determining, which property is the most desirable is, setting up a phone call and, having a link. I share a desktop and we go over properties together, and then we have, video walkthroughs, and a lot of it already is digital, just due to the nature of the fact that most of our clients are coming from the US and from Canada and from Europe. And so I think that one of the things that we'll do is try and enhance that as good as possible, as best as we can, in terms of offering more drone footage and more information to give context to clients that are far away. And that, at this point, before it was already something, when somebody gets on a plane and comes down to Ecuador, you got to give them some respect, because they're investing quite a bit of money and time and effort in traveling all the way down to look at a piece of property. And so when they've made all the effort to do that, and now they're also, taking into account the COVID factor, really you want to be as honed in as you can. And so we're just looking at 2 or 3 properties just to make sure that it is everything they thought it was when they were looking at the photos, and then they're able to move forward. There are processes set up. I think all of us as realtors have dealt with transactions that have happened. You get a call and they say, I want that one. And next thing you know, you're sending powers of attorney and people are moving forward with the purchase. But we always, it's possible to do. We always recommend against it, because it's just better. If you're buying property in a foreign country, come down and take a look at it. If you're buying as an investor and you trust who you're working with, that might be a different story, and we'll definitely see that. The investors are calling, and they'll be calling more and more over the next few months looking for opportunities. That's a constant. We saw that after the earthquake, and I'm sure we'll see that again now as people are kind of feeling out where the opportunities are. that's good, because there's probably some folks that want to cash out and are willing to take a cut because they need the money for whatever reason, and that happens. That happens all the time in any market, everywhere, all over the world. It's the same type of situation. There'll be people who are in a situation where they need the money, and so the investors are providing a service because they can offer cash. And so, we do have a number of people we call who have, established relationships with us who say, hey, if somebody needs a bailout, let me know. I'm the guy to talk to. We got cash. And so we do have those folks, and they'll be out and about trying to buy up everything that's offered at well below market value. I think that will continue. One of the things, though, I think that's happening is that there's all this change in the world right now, so much change, and our transactions are limited, right? We can't close deals right now. And so I think that there will be an effect where it's almost like a repressed dam, where you have demand that wants to move forward, but it's stopped right now by uncertainty and by travel restrictions and by logistics. I do believe that that's there because I see it in my email correspondence, and it's just a natural thing when there's, right now we say that there's high supply and low demand, but right now actually there's no supply because nobody can buy anything. And so really there is demand, I think, that's backing up. And it's held back by the apprehension, it's held back by the travel restrictions, it's held back by those types of things. But I think that, as we as a society, at a larger international scale, get the COVID thing sorted, which there's obviously a lot to all of that, but as that happens, it has to happen, it's happening, that that demand will start to pour through, and I think when it happens and people are comfortable, I think there'll be a little bump associated with that backed up demand, because it's there. I think that there's going to be a greater tendency towards owning property in the future. I think we're in a world of uncertainty right now, right? Everybody is wondering what's next and not sure what it means and how bad is it, or and everyone is processing that. There's a lot of security to owning a piece of property, or to owning your own piece of property where you can manage who comes and goes on that property. And I think that, also in terms of resources, again, kind of echoing what Ashley was saying about potentially there being more interest in rural areas, I believe the same. I think that folks will be looking for something that they can carve out a piece of their own thing, where they can control what comes in and what goes out and what goes on. Especially, the majority of our market is our expats that are in the retirement age, or nearing it. And right now it's also the group that's most susceptible to COVID. And so what is that market going to be looking for? I think they're going to be looking for individual properties or well-managed properties, that have a protocol for dealing with COVID, where it's not kind of like they can share common areas in a building and know that that other people have their interests in mind. And so I think that those factors, the factor of security will be important. And then to be places where you still have access to, food, water, all of the basics, even in times of challenge. One of the reasons we like the area where we are is you have this giant ocean out in front of you full of fish. You have a whole agricultural valley right next door. And you have meat production right next door, egg production, everything's right close by. And so it's kind of nice to have services that are close by. Another factor to consider, am I going too long?
We're about to finish, Tom, so if you can summarize a little bit, please.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the one last point I was going to make is that another factor is because we're in the internet age and a lot of people are working from home, I think another important demand segment is going to come up. And that's going to be folks who can work from anywhere, not necessarily retirement age, but younger. And we are starting to get those more of those types of calls of, hey, you know, I could live on the beach in Ecuador near a nice break and do my job from there. And so I think it actually opens up another market segment in that there's maybe more people that are mobile now than there ever have been before. And I think that mobility, the increased mobility, may help the market in Ecuador as well. You know, overall, I mean, it's going to be a challenging time for everyone. You know, nobody's really going to know what happens until it happens. But I would think that, you know, I don't think that there's going to be a major crash in Ecuador. This is a global phenomena. It's not an Ecuador specific phenomena. And you know, if property values, you know, drop in general, I think Ecuador will follow along those trends. And I personally don't think that the bad press, we've seen bad press before for different things in different places, and it doesn't stick that long. I think that people are able to, you know, look at the real situation in terms of what value is where and make decisions based on that.
Yeah, Tom, you're absolutely right, and I really appreciate your honesty with your words. Something that I had to add to our attendees, it is like me as an attorney here. Basically, we work with a lot of real estate here. So one advice is that you need to find the people that you can trust. And this is always, I tell everyone looking to buy real estate in Ecuador, don't make any assumptions. Just don't make sure that you will have hot water because in the US is something that you have by granted, or anything else like the internet speed connection, it is 4, 5G, so just always ask. And the group of people that we have invited today, it is the people that we have some kind of work relation, and we have been representing whether it's buyers or sellers with them. But it is very important that you can find a person that you can trust, and always ask. Always, don't think that is a very bad question. Don't make any assumptions. So that will be my last words for this presentation. I don't know if anyone else would like to add something. We have 3 minutes. If all of you guys, you want to say something in the 30 seconds, just to say goodbye to the attendees. Garrett.
Can you hear me? Okay. Samara, muchas gracias por la información. Ya sabes, el dueño de la Market Watch es muy increíble la información. Muchas gracias. I told her thank you for the information she presented for Market Watch. Very
Germán Carvajal es muy serio, muy correcto.
y ahorita yo estoy en Guayaquil.
Oh, bien.
Also, thank you to everybody. Ashley, great points, really great points. Tom, great points as well. I really agree with a lot of different things, especially I think people are definitely going to be looking for person property in rural areas. I've already myself started looking for some property down in San Lorenzo. Really good friends with Juan Delgado, which you had on here the other day. That guy, to me, he's amazing. So even myself, I'm looking for some more. So great job. And coming to Manta, get in touch. Love to help you. Any questions? Get in touch with Ecuador.
Aquí tomo una foto de allá por acá a la pantalla directamente.
And thank you, Marcos. Great job. Great job. Jason, you're the man.
Please, if you want to share your final thoughts about this, just to say goodbye to our attendees.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, both of you, Jason and Marcos. Again, this was great. I'm sorry that I was in and out. I don't know what was going on, but clearly I'm not one of the telecommuters that should work at home. I don't know how to do this yet. But I would like to say that when this is over, I really hope that people do come to Ecuador. It's a wonderful country. The people are extraordinary. There's fresh fruits and vegetables like you can't even imagine. And it's a really wonderful way of life with a wonderful group of people. So as soon as you're healthy and there's airplanes to come to Ecuador.
Thank you. Samara, unas palabras finales.
Sí, que bienvenidos a Ecuador. Ecuador es un paraíso. Tenemos aquí costa, sierra, oriente, nieve, selva, un país encantador.
So Samara is saying, welcome to Ecuador. We have excuse me, I was on mute. She said, welcome to Ecuador. We have a wonderful country with the Andes, the coast, the Amazon, the Galapagos.
Sí, es que me emociono cuando hablo de mi país y me estaba olvidando que había que hacer una traducción.
She gets emotional talking about her country. She forgot that I had to translate for her.
Y bueno, bienvenidos. Aquí hay excelentes aliados y podemos ayudar a las personas que estén interesadas en invertir y en comprar aquí en nuestro lindo país.
And again, you know, you're all welcome to visit. I think there's some amazing opportunities in real estate and property in Ecuador.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tom, just final words, but and after that we're ready, and then we will be closing this event. So thank you again, everyone, for attending this 1.5 hour event. This has been the longest we had, but it has been very, very informative. So Tom, the final words from you.
I just wanted to thank everybody for listening, and thank you guys for organizing this, and thank all the other contributors. I think, you know, the more interchange of information there is, the better. We're all in it together. If there's anything I can do, if it is the right time to list your property up in northern, you know, up in Bahia, Canoa, San Jacinto, San Clemente, that area, and we'd be happy that we're at work and we're happy to serve you. Thanks again for everyone in terms of putting in what you did. It helps everybody take our next steps forward.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you next Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great job.